The international break is over. Manchester United are hosting Brighton at Old Trafford on Saturday. The return of the Premier League, the return of Manchester United. And I tell you what, we have needed this. It's been a long old international break. And Brighton is not an easy game to come back into in any way, shape or form. We've got Brighton on Saturday, Bayern Munich during the week in the Champions League. Yes, please. I'm going to run through all the team news ahead of the game. Take a look at Brighton's form so far this season. They're danger men. You already know who they are. I'll run through and take a look at the tactics board. Put them on here. See how they line up against United. See where the strengths and weaknesses of the team are and what our starting 11 should be and what my prediction is. Plenty to run through. Now, come on. Drop a like on the video because United are actually back in action. And as I said, Brighton is not an easy... it's not an easy game for us to come back into. Everybody knows how dangerous De Zerbi's Brighton are. They are a very decent team, all right? They've had a very, well, kind of high-scoring start to the season, really. We take a look here at the stats, okay, and we can see that Brighton here, currently top of the tree when it comes to goals per match. When it comes to average possession, they are used so far to controlling the game. You can go down here, expected goals, only behind Brentford. Shots on target, no one's had more. Big chances created, only Chelsea have created one more than Brighton. They have had a pretty impressive start to the season. And of course, that game against Newcastle, we can take a look at their formation here. And you can see that they're lining up in that 4-2-3-1. Mitoma has been particularly dangerous so far this season. Only Bruno Fernandes has a higher expected assists so far in the Premier League this season than Mitoma. But of course, it's that man. That man that may well, fingers crossed, be wearing a United shirt in the future. He's a United fan. I think he looks... Yeah. Anyway, we don't need to talk about that. But Evan Ferguson is a bit of a doubt for this game. In terms of injury news, United do have some concerns. We don't know about Martinez's full fitness. We don't know about... who else's full fitness? Lindelof's full fitness? We know, but there's some question marks around Martinez, Lindelof, also Amrabat. But I tell you who should be ready to make his debut. Full debut. Old Trafford debut. Rasmus Hojlund. You know who else hopefully should be fit to ready to make his debut? Is Amrabat. Now, this is why I'm excited, man, because this, I hope, is going to be the start of a new Manchester United team, right? So we've got the team here that played against Arsenal. We all know what the problems were we had in that game. You saw Martial had an absolutely invisible game. That's unusual. Very unusual. Both of our centre-backs went off injured. We ended the game with Evans and Maguire. There were some positives in that game, but overall, we can't really look at the positives too much because of what happened after. But let's take a look at the starting 11 and the questions. I think the first question we've got is what happens in defence. Fingers crossed, all right? Fingers crossed that back five stays the exact same. I thought Delo was really impressive against Bukayo Saka. Probably one of the hardest, battles that he's had this season on paper, and he was very good. He really was very good. Kept him quiet. More of the danger was coming on the other side with Martinelli and Wan-Bissaka. But Wan-Bissaka, for sure, in this game, he's important. Because of this, right? We take a look at, that's Jadon Sancho, wrong thing there. That's what I wanted. We take a look at this. Why has that moved over there? You prepare everything and it just moves on its own. As I said, only Bruno Fernandes has been more creative so far this season than Mitoma. And that is going to be one of the key battles from the game, right? So we go over here. We take a look at the tactics board. I've got like 3-4 screens going on at the moment, so apologies for the slight delay. That's going to be one of the key battles of the game, right? And I tell you what, it also, because of what's going on with the right wing situation, and we don't know who's going to be playing up here instead of Anthony, because Anthony we're just going to drop to the bench, right? We know that Anthony's not here, so we need someone there. Wan-Bissaka, I think, is going to be so focused on Mitoma that I don't think you're going to be seeing Wan-Bissaka overlapping in these positions too often up here. I think you're going to see Wan-Bissaka be the more reserved of the two fullbacks. I think he's going to stay pretty much... I'm not saying that he's just going to stay there, but I do think that Wan-Bissaka is mainly going to be tasked with keeping that man at bay, which then has an impact on who should be playing to replace Anthony. Let's move over here and let's talk about that, because that's the key question, really. And I suppose the question that lots of people are asking is, will Jadon Sancho play? And I don't think Jadon Sancho will play. So the question, of course, goes to, who should play instead of him, right? And in my opinion, there's only one correct answer for that. And it's not just because Pellistri deserves an opportunity. It's not just because... it's not just because of that. It also directly affects pretty much every other aspect of United in this game. And let me run through and explain exactly what I mean. So I want to see Pellistri out on this right-hand side here, okay? I do not want to see Bruno out there. So let's for example, let's say, right, this is what would happen. This is what could happen, right? And I think a lot of people are worried about this. Bruno playing there, Eriksen going forward there, because I've even skipped over him, and I'll go back to speak about him. But Amrabat coming in is going to make, of course, a huge difference. And I haven't spoken about him just yet. So let me get him into the formation there, and I'll go back and have a quick conversation. I got a bit excited and skipped to the right wing situation. But that's pretty much what would happen, effectively, if Bruno was out in the right wing. Eriksen would play in his position there. Now, Bruno would naturally cut inside. And because I think that Wan-Bissaka is going to be so tasked with Mitoma, I can't imagine you're going to see Wan-Bissaka going too far forward there. So therefore, Brighton, if that was to happen, Brighton would be able to sort of move quite narrow, double up on Bruno, without really having too much worry of an overlap. And therefore, it will be too easy for United to be defended against. What I want to see, Eriksen on the bench, Bruno through the middle, Pellistri on the right. Because we need that width. That width against Brighton is going to be really important, in my opinion, for breaking them down. Operating and holding a player in that position there, because you're going to drag the defence a little bit wide. And by doing that, you are going to allow Bruno, so if Pellistri's out there occupying his fullback, Bruno's going to be able to drift into these positions, which is where that man will come in. And Bruno from these positions here, we saw it against... I'm not just talking about what he did for Portugal, but this is what I want to see. I want to see Hojlund in the middle and Bruno having the ability to drop into those positions, because I don't think that Brighton will be able to defend it. That feels like a smart tactic for me, for United to do. And that's why I want Pellistri to start and for Bruno to be staying in the middle, because Bruno's more effective there. But of course, we can't just talk about everything going forward when we have to talk about this man here, who I am just so excited to see playing the United shirt. Amrabat is going to be such a difference maker for this United team, man. He really, really will be. And it's going to be in this sort of role, right? This sort of area of the pitch, where I think United have just lacked that composure, lacked that calm. If you saw it against Arsenal, right, it was actually Casemiro that was dropping in between our two centre-backs to receive the ball from deep. I don't think that will happen now that we've got Amrabat. That is going to be Amrabat's job. Amrabat will receive the ball from Lindelof, Martinez, and Onana if he wants to, and he'll be the first phase midfielder. He'll be the guy who brings the ball here and finds Casemiro or finds Bruno. And he will always make himself available for the pass. That's going to make a key difference. And I think what you'll probably see is Amrabat sitting deeper, with Casemiro ended up more of a roaming role, which he kind of has been doing already, but he's actually he's supposed to be the defensive midfielder. He really held his position against Arsenal, something massively different as United held more in shape. But this, I think, will suit Casemiro a bit more. He's got somebody he can defend on to screen that area. As I said, be in this area. This means that if Man United get hit on the counter, we should have the protection from Amrabat, whereas before we were too exposed. Now, what Brighton have shown this season, right, is that they are quite vulnerable in the counter-attack. The only game that they've lost was against West Ham, and they got spanked. Well, I say spanked. They got beaten 3-1 comfortably at home. They had 70% possession, but they lost 3-1 at home. And that's where, of course, Rashford is going to really come into his own, hopefully on the counter-attack, and I think he's going to make a big difference. So Rashford out on the left-hand side there, pace. Pellistri out on the right-hand side there, pace. Hojlund up front, pace. That front three is absolutely rapid. And if Brighton play like they have done these first few games, and they go aggressive, and they will. That's how a De Zerbi team will play. Progressive, front foot, lots of possession, lots of build-up. They should leave spaces in behind for that front three to exploit, for Bruno and Casemiro to look for the balls over the top and the balls in behind. It's going to be a tough game. Obviously, the main focus for me, talking point-wise, is let me see the difference that Amrabat makes in that position. Let me see the difference of what Man United playing with an actual centre-forward makes, because I think those two Hojlund, oh man, we've got to speak about Hojlund, man. I'm so excited to see what this guy does for us. Against Arsenal, it was he only came on for, 15, 20 minutes or so, but you saw the difference of hold-up play, the link-up play, the pace in behind, the runs in the box, and that's what I mean. Bruno Fernandes, as I showed there, nobody's been more creative than him this season. But nobody has been in this position to be on the end of them. I want to see Bruno dropping into spaces that hopefully Pellistri creates by movement, finding these positions here, and Hojlund making himself available in the middle. That's what I want to see. Let's see if it happens. In terms of predictions, I don't think it's going to be the most enjoyable game to watch from a United fan's perspective, because I do think that Brighton will have quite a lot of the ball. I think Brighton will have some and create some chances too. I think they're going to be dangerous. But United haven't lost at home since, of course, Brighton last season and the opening day of the season. Our home form's been fantastic. Our away form has been trash against the top 9. We've got to win this game. The club needs it. And we've got Bayern Munich next. I'm going for a tight 2-1 win. And I would go for that as my formation. I would bring Pellistri out on the right-hand side to make sure that Bruno stays centrally. He has to stay central. Amrabat, I think, will be fit to come in to make his debut. And Hojlund, both of them starting in my team. And if Amrabat's not fit, well, then it's probably Casemiro dropping deeper and Eriksen playing just like we did against Arsenal. And if Hojlund's not fit, well, it'll be Martial, but Hojlund is fit. I'm pretty sure he is. Tight 2-1. That's the formation. That's all the talking points. You let me know what you think. 3-4 screens on the go. Who said men can't multitask? Drop a like on the video. Multitask. Watch and drop a like on it.